Hi everybody, Andrew Cuneo here. Wilds of Eldraine has just come out on Arena, so I was going to give out some new cards a try in Standard. I've decided to start with trying a deck based around Decadent Dragon. I can't really say that there's been a ton of hype around any of the cards for Standard. I guess in part, people just haven't been playing Standard. This looks like one of the better cards to me. Obviously, 4/4 flyer for 4, and you get whenever it attacks, you get a treasure, so sort of a callback to Goldspan Dragon, but obviously much worse. That's not great on its own, but then there's the adventure side, which is black mana, where you're exiling the top 2 cards of an opponent's library face down, and you can cast those for as long as they remain exiled. It's important to note that you need the proper colors of mana to cast them. So that's maybe not quite as much value as you were thinking, because, if you hit like a double white card, it's going to be pretty hard to put into play. But you can play your opponent's lands, and you also get treasures from this thing, so you get, mana of any color effectively if this gets to start attacking. The other thing is, I think that it's going to remain mostly the case that almost all decks in Standard are going to play either red or black, so probably there's going to be color overlap between you and your opponent. So that's the one new card I wanted to build my deck around. In order to take advantage of it, I wanted to try something that I tried when, I guess this was March of the Machines came out. Invasion of Tarkir, which is a battle that wants you to have a bunch of dragons in your deck. So we've got a new dragon. I'm trying out Invasion of Tarkir with it. The best dragon before to play with Invasion of Tarkir was Zergo, but that's a lot of colored mana requirements if you want to be able to play the black adventure part and then play a Jeskai dragon, so I'm not playing Zergo. Instead, I've got Smoldering Eggs, which it's still legal. It feels like it's been legal forever, and it still is. They've changed the rules of Standard, so Smoldering Egg is always legal, but never good. Or maybe it'll be good this time. So I got Smoldering Eggs as a 2-drop. Atsushi and Junji is just 2 more dragons. So I've got a total of 10 dragons with Invasion of Tarkir. This sort of style of black-red, kind of grindy mid-range deck with maybe some more expensive top end was sort of popular before the banning of Fable and the Mirror Breaker, and then when they banned Fable, it completely disappeared. Bloodtithe Harvester is still a legal card in Standard, but I'm not playing any of them because a big part of what made that card so good was that it was good with Fable and the Mirror Breaker, and you can't play that anymore. So I wanted to try out Tenacious Underdog. And then also I wanted to play Smoldering Eggs because it's a dragon for Invasion of Tarkir. Beyond that, one other new card I'm trying out, The End. This is a card that some people hyped a little bit in Standard. So it's sort of a lobotomy effect plus exile removal, but it costs 4 mana, which is 4 mana is a lot. I think that this is probably a card that's going to see not very much play. It'll maybe be like a 1 or 2 of in people's 75, or maybe it won't be played at all. I don't think this is going to be a 4 of in any sort of competitive deck. It does not get duplicate copies in play. Sometimes they print effects that do that, like Declaration in Stone, I think, does it, at least with tokens. Legion's End does it. But this is, you get one thing in play, and then you get them from their hand, library, and graveyard. And then they do get to draw cards if you took a bunch of cards out of their hand. So I wanted to try this. I don't think it's going to be great, but I wanted to give it a little bit of a try. Got Chandras in my deck. I don't have anything above Chandra in the mana curve, at least in the main deck. When we get to the sideboard, there is one thing. But I think that, doubling up the casting of Expensive Taste is, that's some good late game value. And Chandra's also just a really powerful card in a mid-range deck, or, a more controlling deck, which I think this is going to play out that way. In terms of the lands, I am playing 2 copies of Mirrex. I think basically Mirrex is just an obnoxious card. I think pretty much any deck in Standard, except maybe White Weenie, should be playing Mirrex. And I've got a Field of Ruin to destroy opposing Mirrexes. And also there's a whole set of new off-color creature lands, which will probably, you know, if you're playing green-black or red-blue, you're probably going to be playing the creature land. So having Field of Ruin's probably going to be nice. Other than that, pretty typical lands. I only put 2 Sulfurous Springs in my deck. I didn't want to deal a ton of damage to myself. Sideboard, this is, I haven't played with this deck yet. This is a brew, so, you know, take everything with a bit of a grain of salt. I've got 3 breaches in my sideboard because they're good against people who are like trying to do Atraxa or Atali things. I've got Duresses, Lithomantic Barrage. I've got some Magma Sprays in my sideboard. I do think that having Exile effects is probably going to be somewhat important in Standard. There's a new green 2-drop that Magma Spray is very good against, in addition to like Tenacious Underdog or Raise Your Lash Transmogrant. As much as I've hated Phyrexian Arena, I did find it was actually a pretty good card when I was playing Esper Control. It was a good card against the Esper Control deck, so I wanted to try that some. And then just cut down on more Brotherhood's ends. So that's the deck. I think it's probably going to be pretty solid, at least for a day 1 deck, but let's find out. All right, so one of the first things I've learned about this deck is Magma Spray is not a legal card in Standard. Flameblast Bolt is the legal version of it, which is, I think, strictly superior. Up against a black deck. I'm not expecting my Smoldering Egg to live. One thing that's nice about Smoldering Egg in this deck is the expensive taste does, you know, it's a 3 mana instant, so it feeds the Smoldering Egg. Same thing with the Gix's command. Phyrexian Flesh Gorger sighting. Hooray, it's Sheoldred. Just what I always wanted. Realistically, I should probably have Sheoldred in my deck, but I think if I'm just putting it in all my decks day 1, it's not a very good way to try new cards out. There is a bit of a nombo with the Decadent Dragon in that if you cast Expensive Taste, it's on Adventure, so you can't reveal it to Invasion of Tarkir, but I think that's a kind of minor thing. Down to 9. I do have Graveyard Trespassers in my deck as a way to gain life, and I guess Gix's Command if I can ever get a creature to live. And that's not a ton of ways. So what's going to happen is they're going to attack me with their Mishra's Foundry, and I'm going to play Expensive Taste, and we're going to reveal a cut down. I see it coming. Turns out I was not correct. Land Evolved Sleeper's okay, though, I suppose. Decadent Dragon as well. This is one of the things I like about the Decadent Dragon is you get later on in the game, you're going to get to the point where it's just effectively a 7-mana card, where you can just, you know, you're going to draw it, you're going to play Expensive Taste, and then immediately just play the Decadent Dragon as well. Opponent's not messing around in terms of killing everything I play.
When I win, drop it.
I think I'm going to discard the Mirrex. Are these cards face up? They're face down, so my opponent doesn't know I had to go for the throat.
I'm tired of your secrets.
That maybe wasn't the best way to use my cards, to just let them minus the Liliana and kill the Decadent Dragon.
Ah, one of your friends has to leave.
You may have been wondering why I had so many Gix's commands in my deck. In part, it's just because I think it's a good card, but also I think that the Gix's command, getting back Decadent Dragon, is a really good way to grind out a game. That's a problem. Maybe I can hit a Liliana off their deck.
Drop it.
Double block, and I can sack the Mishra's Foundry to the Liliana minus. So I'm not dead, but not in good... Well, I'm in okay shape if I live through this turn. Like if they drill land and they draw land again next turn, I'll probably win. Get me into emotes nice. Oh, it's some sort of new weird warning to auto tapping, I guess.
Space?
All right, I've got him down to 27. They were done. They were probably going to lose from that point. Versus just a black deck. Do I really want Cut Down in my deck? I think Cut Down's fine. I don't think I want Brotherhood's End. Do I want breaches or duresses? Or Flame Blast Bolt. Flame Blast Bolt's probably fine. Let's try that. Is it going to be the end for Sheoldred? I hope so. No need to reveal to them any other dragons in my deck, or in my hand, so I'll just play that like that. Okay, don't mind that that's happening. You may have too many Smoldering Eggs in my hand.
Off you go.
I think I'm just going to play a Smoldering Egg and Edict the Liliana. I don't really want to have to discard. But I also don't want to spend my whole turn just using the end on a 1 loyalty Liliana. I'd much rather, like, if they play Sheoldred this turn, the ending Sheoldred would be great, I think. Can you return Planeswalkers? No. Okay. That's kind of an annoying card for them to have. Not unusable though. Yikes. That was quite strong for them. So far, I'm really not loving this experience with the end. Ugh, this other Sheoldred. Alright, you've got me, opponent. I think I'm going to have some Duresses in my deck. So far, I'm kind of liking my opponent's take on the Wilds of Eldraine cards. That they aren't particularly good and just play with the existing black cards. Come on, more lands. It worked.
And you think you can win? Haven't you ever heard of personal space?
Probably just discard Invasion of Tarkir.
We all have things we love. Nobody knows Dominaria's shadows.
So many Lilianas.
Off you go.
Come on, lands. Those are not the lands I was looking for.
Don't overthink things.
I'm going to start by making them sack a creature. See if they sack their Mishra's Foundry. They're probably not going to. And then I think I'm going to make them sack the Liliana. Junji's a pretty good card to have in my hand. I mean, I need to get rid of the Liliana before I play another creature. The issue is really just, do I want to let them plus it again? Graveyard Trespassers are really cutting down on the effectiveness of Junji. They kind of messed up. They should have just put counters on something. Please just draw a land this turn. Alright. I can probably turn the corner now. Next turn I get attack, make a treasure so I can play 2 spells. I'll just let that hit me. They obviously want it in their graveyard so they can start blitzing it. But I'm going to be able to play a Smoldering Egg that can just brick wall it starting next turn, so they only can do that once. And I think I'm ahead enough on materials that I don't really want to give them the option of drawing more than 1 card a turn. Decadent Dragon was really good this match. I lost the game where I didn't draw any, and I won the game where I drew, like 2 or 3, and then I'm probably going to win this game as well. On the back of the Decadent Dragon. So I put them to 10. They go to 8. think it's worth just firing off the Invasion of Tarkir for 1 extra point. You can go face with the Invasion of Tarkir, but I think instead I'm just going to play a Smoldering Egg as a blocker. Play my land so I can make a creature off the Mirrex in case they, I don't know, top deck another Liliana. I don't really suspect that the 1/1 Might token is going to do all that much as the game progresses. They're dead if they didn't draw a way to kill the Decadent Dragon or Sheoldred. I guess if they can kill Sheoldred, they can attack me with the Graveyard Trespassers and gain a life. I can play another Tenacious Underdog. And I guess they don't know that they're dead on board because they don't know about Invasion of Tarkir, but they are dead. What do you got for me, Oron? Bant, interesting. Wait, this isn't Bant? They have even more colors than just the Bant ones. Played the wrong land. That's my story and I'm going to stick with it. It's also accurate that I really should have played Sokenzan. I'm just going to cut down this token since I don't think cut down is going to kill anything else in their deck. This is probably a really bad matchup for me. Although, maybe we're going to get to see what happens if I get to the end. They're, what's the 7/7 flying dragon called? I wanted to say it's called Ashoka, but that's the name of a Disney show. Yeah, not playing the right card on turn 2 wasn't a good choice. You don't deal enough damage. These 5-color decks are pretty good. I think the thing that was keeping them in check is they're pretty bad against the Esper control decks. But I do think they have a good matchup against a lot of these black decks. My deck is fundamentally just a black deck. Oh no, I've been ossifying. Alright, some sideboarding is in order. Don't want cut down in my deck. This is the kind of matchup that I have Breach the Multiverse in my sideboard for. I think I want Duresses as well. I have mismatched Phyrexian Arenas. I wonder why that is. Definitely don't want Brotherhoods and... maybe something like that. I could board in the Phyrexian Arenas. They don't seem really all that hot, though. I'm starting to get the feeling that my deck would be better if I just had Decadent Dragons and then had normal 2-mana cards rather than Invasion of Tarkir and Smoldering Eggs. Because it's hard to sideboard out as much, like, the more I sideboard out of Invasion of Tarkir / Smoldering Egg, the worse the other one gets. And I don't really like either one in the sideboard, but I don't like either one in these games, but I don't have enough stuff in my sideboard to get them all out of my deck, which is a problem. Atraxa is the name of the dragon I was trying to think of, that I thought the name was Ashoka. This time Arena helped me out. It didn't give me lands that I could screw up the sequencing on. I suppose I could have not played Blackcleave Cliffs and maybe somehow kept it in my hand till turn 4. Another briefcase. Guess I'm going to duress them in case their best play next turn is Invasion of Zendikar. It's not. They have 2 Sunfalls. I want to take a Sunfall or a Herd Migration. Guess Herd Migration. I don't have access to white mana yet without the briefcase. They can play a Topiary Stomper to get a Plains, I guess, but to do that this turn they have to get rid of the briefcase. So they're just going to die to Invasion of Tarkir, either over the span of 2 turns if I draw a tapped land right away. I knew Invasion of Tarkir was great in this matchup. Said it all along. Whoa, they're gaining life. Having the dragons in my hand mattered. That doesn't save you, friend. This is probably not going to be the strongest showing for Smoldering Egg. They're revealed to me that they have Disdainful Stroke. I'll take their ossification and hope to beat them senseless with this Tenacious Underdog. I'd like to draw a Decadent Dragon so I can get some of the fun stuff off of their deck. That's not a Decadent Dragon. They really didn't use Herd Migration to go and get an island there? Does this mean they have Sunfall? Probably lose if they have Sunfall, but don't want to play super passively. I don't think they had Sunfall. I could have played the Gix's Command, which, you know, just to get 2 additional power on a creature that turn, but I know they have the Disdainful Stroke, so instead I'm just going to leave up, go for the Throat, and making a creature with Mirrex. Like, if they drew Sunfall, I would have go for the Throated my Tenacious Underdog and made a Mirrex token. I want to draw Decadent Dragon more. That's the fun part of this deck. Not stupid, not Decadent Dragon. I'm guessing this is going to be Esper Legends, but probably not with Jadar. Do you think their deck is, their lands are just all Plaza of Heroes? They fit more than 4 in their deck somehow, or maybe they only put 4 lands in their deck and they just got lucky and drew 3 of them. Both things could be true. Definitely could be true. Sensing Gix's Command is going to be real good if I can play it on turn 5. I'm ready to block. Eager, even. On untapped land. One land that comes into play tapped. You're good too. I'm just gonna play the Smoldering Egg in case they do something that need to block with it. I don't think I'm gonna need the Smoldering Egg. I'm either gonna win with these 2 Gix's Commands or I'm gonna lose. I don't think there's really much else going on. have been better last turn, but this is still pretty good. I think I need to kill the Adeline. Graveyard Trespasser is such a just overall solid card. Doesn't seem like much usually. I knew they had 4 of those in their deck. I knew it. So this is Esper Legends without the blue, I guess is what their deck is. So far, no new cards. Has anyone played any new cards against me yet? Not that I can recall. I've eaten a lot of ram triggers this game. Ayo, it's another Ayo. That would kill them, but I can't cast it. Actually, maybe that wouldn't kill them because of the Vran. Reevaluate. I didn't need any of that stuff to kill them. I forgot that Atsushi had trample. So Flameblast Bolt seems pretty good. Lithomantic Barrage is usually good against Esper, but I'm not sure. I guess it kills Adeline, and it does kill Jadar. Is that the name of the tiny guy? Yeah. So that's probably worth it, too. Is Brotherhood's End a good card in this matchup? Probably. So far, this Light Up the Night hasn't seemed all that exciting. I think we'll take the End out of my deck as well, just for more efficient removal. I have this cut down. I don't think I need. Maybe I'm going to try something like that. Get him Smoldering Egg. This is your game to shine. Smoldering Egg's probably going to be good against their deck. Hopefully it's going to be good against their deck. It is very good with Brotherhood's End. Sheoldred, lame. Come on, give me something to kill this Sheoldred. Some lands. Ooh, there's a new card. Restless Fortress. Not the most exciting new card, but a new card. Also have my second black mana, so I can cast Gix's Command next turn, which is a pretty big deal. Heyo, it's the Dawn Sky. Blot out. I'm not even sure I know what this card does. Oh, okay. It's actually pretty good for me. Do get hit by this Sheoldred, which isn't great. Couldn't they have hit me with Sheoldred last turn? I feel like I probably should have taken 4 damage I didn't take. Another AO. This is going to be fine. Ashmouth Dragons are really hard to beat if you can't kill it. I knew if we played enough games with Smoldering Egg it would be good one time. I was good with Decadent Dragon too this game. I lost 5 life and I drew 5 cards. Wasn't good enough. I hope this is a matchup where Invasion of Tarkir is good. Ask me why. Maybe I was supposed to play Smoldering Egg, given that I drew the second dragon. Against somebody who leads on basic mountain, they're not really going to play a lot of 4 toughness stuff, I'd imagine. You'd ask me to tell you if Falconwrath Pitfighter was still a legal card. I probably would have said no. I would have been wrong. I think there's a new like red for a 2/1 in this set that seems a little bit better to me. Okay. Well supplied with Tarkir related cards. I think you can... Is this non-battle? No, it's just anything. Anything that you want, so I could flip next turn. My Smoldering Egg, they have their own Invasion of Tarkir. It's probably better in their deck than mine. Even though I have all these dragons. I think the only new dragon is the Decadent Dragon. I did a search, and I at least remember that there weren't any others that I was like, yeah, that's a card I'm going to play with. You can eat a bloodthirsty adversary for free. Yeah, I'll do that. Not sure that was a good attack by the opponent. For a second, it seemed like it might be okay, but I didn't. Then I realized they weren't even going to flip their Invasion of Tarkir if the Devastator got through. So that really wasn't a very good attack. Okay, it's time for me to fight Katazan. He's got dragons in play. So I can Invasion of Tarkir, this Invasion of Tarkir, get my own Defiant Thundermaw attack with my 2 dragons, kill their Defiant Thundermaw. Those are all good things. Oh, but if I let this through... I still don't get to flip that. Instead of use 2 damage on making sure the attack could get through. It's been a very Defiant Thundermaw related game. And why not? Let's have another one. They're going to need something special to survive my next attack. It is going to be a good one. I was getting 15 2-damage triggers by attacking. Yeah, that would have worked. Definitely want my Flame Blessed Bolts. The end seems kind of pricey. Chandra seems kind of pricey. I suppose I'd want this cut down too if it's going to be in my sideboard. I think I'm going to try that. No Duresses. No 3rd Brotherhood's End. Does that make sense? Probably not. It's probably better than Light Up the Night. Should I Edict Felden now so they can't animate their land? I think that I'm fine with them animating their Mishra's Foundry and sacking it to Edict. If I wait, it means if they have another Felden in their hand, they can't just cast it. Which is nice, I suppose. If they did use their whole third turn just stone raining themselves to keep Feldon in play, I think I would... Oh, that's what they're doing. I think I'd be reasonably comfortable just Invasion of Tarkiring the Feldon next turn. If I wanted to, I could just pummel this Feldon into the ground and give them a lot of options as to what to take, but I think we'll just stick with the 2 damage. They get another land and an Obliterating Bolt that I'm going to be happy for them not to have access to, because I'm probably just going to hard cast Decadent Dragon on my turn. I think I screwed up my land sequencing. I think I could have played them away so I didn't even get hit by that Furnace Punisher trigger. Time to fight Kakazan. That's what I'm talking about. Why in the world would they play those cards in that order? That's not good. That's not how you do it, opponent. See if I can have an Obliterating Bolt. If not, I'm just going to play Tenacious Underdog, obviously. I hit some mountains. Not exceptional. Probably dead. I would be in okay shape if I was about to untap and I had, 2 spells in my hand, but have 4 lands and a Decadent Dragon effectively. So that's not going to be very good. I don't know what's taking a long time, but whatever it is taking a long time. I think Invasion of Tarkir is better when you have Nahiri's Warcrafting in your deck. I've kind of, from playing these games, come to the conclusion I think Invasion of Tarkir is the worst card in my deck. And I think the deck would be better if I just cut all the Invasion of Tarkirs and then cut, like, maybe 2 of the Smoldering Eggs, and then you could just play, cut the goofy dragons that aren't Decadent Dragon, Atsushi and Junji, and just play Sheoldred and play like regular removal spells instead of Invasion of Tarkir. That might be a slightly better way to build the deck. Decadent Dragon has seemed like a perfectly reasonable card. Like, I don't know that it's going to be a standard all-star, but it seems pretty reasonable if you're planning on black to play with it. The kind of dragon-related synergies have seemed like nothing special, though. That's not going to be good for me. This dies, trade with that, go to 2, play Brotherhood's End, die to Mishra's Foundries. Sounds like fun. Please don't have Flameless Bolt or play with fire. Hit with fire. That's not a disaster, but it would have been nicer if it just lived. I'm going to return Feldune. I'm going to see what they do. I'm going to let Feldune hit me. I might just play Expensive Taste. Or I might double spell. I think I'm just going to play Expensive Taste. I'm going to play Cut Down plus probably Sheoldred's Edict this turn cycle. And then next turn I will play Invasion of Tarkir on this Commando faces Kakazan. And do something else too. They're representing another play with fire probably. Or an Invasion of Tarkir, but my life total is high enough that I don't think there's any need to be careful here. Here's definitely going to be invading that thing. I'll go ahead and attack it. I think I don't need to worry about killing Etching of Kumano. I think I'm fine with just blocking with the Graveyard Trespasser, and if they want to use 2 more cards to finish it off, they're welcome to. Jumping rather than giving me the backside of Invasion of Tarkir. I know that they have me at a low enough life total that that's good play. Probably they just can't win. Especially if I keep getting 3-for-1s off of Decadent Dragon, which it does seem like it just gives you a 3-for-1 a lot of the time. I'm feeling like a genius for only playing 2 Sulfurous Springs against all these Furnace Punishers. Imagine if I just had Sulfurous Springs in my deck instead. Yuck. Goodbye, Feldune. Getting in on the action. Tenacious Underdog, I didn't forget about you. No more creatures to eat. Alright, so what conclusions can we draw? Like I was saying, I think that Invasion of Tarkir is probably the worst card. It was good against that mono red deck, but there were a lot of matchups where it just didn't really kill the creatures I wanted it to kill. And I could have had, you know, more go for the throat type cards, and they would have been good in pretty much all the matchups I played, including against mono red. They wouldn't have been quite as good because I wouldn't have been able to get the Divine Thundermaws like I got against the mono red deck, but I think I would have won both those games against mono red, even if I hadn't been able to turn my removal spell into Defiant Thundermaw as the game went on. So I would say those 4 can go. And then once you do that, there's no reason to play Atsushi and Junji over 4-mana Sheoldred or even 5-mana Sheoldred. Probably just 2 4-mana Sheoldreds. There's also no reason to play 4 Smoldering Eggs at that point. I kind of liked Smoldering Egg, though, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't want to have so many of them in my deck that I couldn't board them out, which was a problem with the way this deck was constructed, was that there were too many cards I wanted to board out against that 5-color ramp deck and just not enough space in the sideboard. But I could see playing like 2 Smoldering Eggs in my deck, so I guess I would say you could cut this, cut those, and then you're looking at adding 2 Sheoldreds and then some more 2-mana cards, like maybe more Go for the Throats. Maybe there's a different 2-drop creature you want to try playing. I don't think you really want to play 4 Tenacious Underdogs. But I don't know that. I also don't think it's a good idea to play just like a handful of Blood Tithe Harvesters. I think you'd want to play 4 of those or 0. Just because you want to get the draws where you draw 2 of them, so you can play one on turn 2, and then on turn 3 you play the second one, and you have 2 blood, and you can just kill a big creature at that point. So you'd have to look to see what other 2-drops you might want to consider. Brotherhood's End was fine. I don't know that it's like a main deck card necessarily. These could be Phyrexian Flesh Gorgers, or maybe there's... I don't think there's any red 3-drops I'd really be in the market for. Light Up the Stage could have just been like a normal removal spell. I was playing it because people used to play it when they would play with Chandra, and maybe that's good. I never drew these Chandras. I was boarding them out in some of the faster matchups. I think if my main deck was a little bit less clunky, I would have been less inclined to board them out. So like fewer Invasion of Tarkir, goofy cards. Just more normal removal spells would have been better. The end was pretty bad. That one game I drew it where it was just like I fell behind to the point where it was just completely unacceptable to spend 4 mana for a 1-for-1 removal. And I think you would find that a lot of the time with this card. That said, there are probably games where you want to have this effect in your deck. So I would probably continue to play with that. Sideboard, I don't think... I had too many 1-mana removal spells. Like there was no reason to have this many. I want to look to see if there are more cards that are good against like control decks or 5-color ramp decks. Like maybe a different discard spell, like maybe Pilfer, just one that can hit Atraxas and Atalis out of people's hands. I do think that having the Breach the Multiverses in the sideboard is probably a good idea. I mean, they could honestly be in the main deck too, although it's a little bit less appealing when you have breaches in your main deck, when you don't have that many good hits in your own deck. So, like, Decadent Dragon's not a very good hit off of Breach. The thing that's making Decadent Dragon a good card is that you can adventure it and then play it. It's not just when you spend 4 mana and you get the Decadent Dragon in play. That's... You wouldn't play Decadent Dragon without the adventure cost in a deck. Like, you would never put this in just a mono red deck, or somehow it just didn't have expensive taste. You would never play with it. So that's not a very good breach hit. I mean, Chandra's good breach hit. You can get Planeswalkers, right? But not having a Tali in my deck makes breach a lot worse, I would say. Yeah. The lands seem perfectly reasonable. I think I drew the Field of Ruin one time and I never used it, but it doesn't really hurt to have one colorless land in your deck, probably, or one colorless and 2 Mirrex. Really, the only interesting thing is it better to have a mix of Mirrex and Field of Ruin, or to just have all Mirrexes? I don't know the answer to that yet. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be back with some other deck ideas I've got, and if people are interested, I'll probably work out, try to figure out how to put those revisions I was talking about into effect, and maybe I'll give this deck another try, because it did. I mean, for as much as I thought some of the decisions were not great in the deck building, it did well, and I was impressed with Decadent Dragon. So there's definitely stuff to work on here. Thanks for watching.